More important, Dixcel Kitten Soft Bathroom Tissue is so soft. What more could a girl ask for? But here's the bonus. The extra pennies I save help me afford the odd little luxury. There are no weeds in my garden.
Dixcel Kitten Soft Bathroom Tissue. Excellent value from Dixcel.
Now on 4, the first in a new series in which Alwyn Crawshaw invites you to pick up your brush and start painting with oils.
My name is Alwyn Crawshaw, and you've caught me just in the middle of painting a picture of this gorgeous Devon estuary. Isn't it lovely? Lots of people may be surprised that I'm painting outside in oil, because when we think of oil, we think of bottles of turps, loads of brushes, big canvases, easels, and all sorts of things. But I don't worry with that. I've got what I call a pochard box, and this is it. This is the palette where I put all the paints. I use the lid for the easel, and this is where the painting goes. And down here is the bottom of the box, and in this I carry all the things I need: brushes, paint, turps, bottle of turps in here. I've even got pliers. I don't know why I've got pliers. Sellotape, anything that I might need, rags, is in the bottom of the box. And this is where I keep my turps. Well, in fact, it isn't turps. It's what they call low odour thinners, and it doesn't smell. It's fabulous. And in this one, I've got a gel medium that helps the paint to dry. Anyway, let's get on with the painting. I've mixed a bit of paint for the sky, and I'm going to start over here. It's a lovely warm day. What I've done so far, by the way, I've drawn this in and painted it over with a very thin wash, of turps. I shall call low odour thinners turps from now onwards, by the way. It's much easier and quicker, isn't it? And I've got this mix of turps and paint, and I'm putting in this distant sky, which is very warm. It's a very warm sky. It does look bluer when you look at the sky itself, in reality, but it's amazing if you add a little bit of crimson, it does warm the colour up. This was in sunlight. I'm not going over the dark area for the windows. I shall paint that over again, but I don't want to go over it with this colour because it would be too wet to get a nice, rich, dark window over there later on. Now, I've got this small brush, or smaller brush. Incidentally, with brushes, I'm going to be telling you about these during the later programmes. But in the meantime, I want to put the shadow on this church, and it was a very, very strong shadow because the sun is particularly bright today, and the roofs were the same. And also down the side, there's a shadow down there, and of course down the side of the wall. Notice I'm not working very thick with the oil paint. A lot of people think that with oil paint you've got to, you know, with all the mixing and all the thickness of paint, but we don't really need that. We can build up to that if we want. Or, of course, you can paint like that if you like and jump around and be all excited and really extravagant. You don't need clothes like this. You need a big top on to work like that. But when you're outside or even working inside, I work the same. I work quite thinly to start with and then gradually build up the paint as I go on. And usually the way that I work is dark work in dark first, not all the time, but I work dark tones first, and then bring the lighter ones up. And the lighter tones are the ones that I usually get lighter, thicker paint, use thicker paint for the lighter tones. Of course, you can easily get lost working on areas like this, which are very similar, the different areas of green. But there's nothing you can do about it apart from try and look at areas and think, ah, that's the one, that's the big tree with the shadow on it, or whatever, and use that as a sort of guide as you're working through a long expanse like I'm doing now. Now, some of these trees go further up the houses, and the reason that I didn't put them right up was because I can now drag the paint onto the wet paint and just merge it in a bit more as the tree climbs up the house or in front of the house. So I've added white to it, to our colour, just to bring out the shape of the tree. There's another one there, but I've made this a bit yellower because they all change colour, or when I say they all change colour, they're all sort of different colours. Every tree is different, and in fact, even if you looked at every leaf on a tree, I'm sure it wouldn't be exactly the same colour. And although this is very subtle, it's very important when you're painting a picture, whether it be watercolour or oil, to make sure that you do change colours. And although you're changing them in a very subtle way, a painting is made up of subtleties when we're working. And so a little subtle colour here and there makes all the difference. It's amazing how quick the tide comes up in an area like this. And it seems almost within the last quarter of an hour or so, the tide's actually come up behind me. In fact, oh, it's amazing. There's a load of fish down there. Yes, I think they're mullet. And it's amazing what you see when you're out painting, isn't it? That's one of the nice things of painting, because you're always still, remember. You're not rushing around. It isn't a hobby where you're rushing around. You're still, and nature actually carries on around you. And when you're in the fields, I've had little mice that have run around the side of me. And in fact, you won't believe this, I've had a spider that's actually gone from this corner of this lid and made a web right the way across and then walked across. I've actually seen that happen while I've been working. It's amazing what happens when you're out with nature. Now, I forgot where we were. Where were we? Yes, these boats. So we've got that one, we've got that one, that one. Now, that one will be light on the back, so we'll leave that one. In fact, there aren't, the boats now are actually floating rather than beached, and they've moved around, and this one has gone in front of that one, so I can't see what colour it was, but I'm sure it was a white one. This was white or a grey, so I'm going to leave that. That will be in light. Now, I don't think, apart from putting a more dark on the hull, I don't think there's any more we need at this point to put on the yachts. There's this one, of course, but I'll leave this one until I put all this mud on. So let's get the mud on there. Notice I'm not trying to paint exactly around the boats. It's all being done quite freely. And just dragging the paint over. Now there's a nice light bit through there. I think that's water. This dark, incidentally, which I've just put on before I started to paint this, forgot to tell you about that, that is water. And the strange thing is, it's darker, the water is darker than the mud banks, or the mud bottom. And that's because of the reflections. You've got tremendous reflections of all the trees that are coming into the estuary, and that's why the water's darker, which is quite surprising because one imagines that water is light or reflecting the blue sky. And this mud here was sort of a bluey pink, where it was still wet, where the water had been running down from just up here when the tide went out. There was a reflection of that boat in the water here, so I'll more than likely put that in. And now it went a yellowy colour. Over here, this was a bank that came down, or still is, except it isn't there at the moment. We can't see it because the tide's up. And again, I'm doing this dry. This was water here. In fact, it went quite mauve near the water's edge, where it was leaving it wet. So I must put that in. Just run it into the water just a little bit there. And down here. And this is all dry brush. Now, I'll be telling you more about dry brush in another programme, but what it does, it leaves this lovely dryness underneath. Hit and miss, this is what it does. It hits the canvas or the paper and misses it, and you get this lovely feeling of movement and happenings. A funny word, isn't it, happenings? Still, it sounds good. It's exactly what happens, happenings. It is happening on the canvas. Now, it's rather strange because the left-hand side of the boat, which should be in shadow, has actually got the sun, and it's all light down there, and yet we've got the shadow around there. Obviously, the sun is very high, and it's coming down and catching it, which is rather good, because it leaves us with this lovely light edge against all this dark side of the quay. Right, I just spent a few minutes looking at this, because you've always got to do that. You can't stay over the painting all the time. You've got to get back and look with a fresh eye, even if it's only 5 minutes, and have a look at it again, and you see things that either you want to alter or that you're very pleased with, or you just want to adjust a little bit. Well, I've had a look, and I'm going to now carry on with the houses under here. Remember I said I was going to leave these till later? Well, I think the time has come now to put them in and kill this really harsh white light. It's just a white with a little bit of crimson in and yellow that I'm using under this tree, where it's very important because of the light against dark under there. Now, can you see, look at that. Can you see how that tree trunk comes out? That really comes out, that tree trunk, and helps to stand it in front of the houses in the background. Now, and I'll more than likely put a bit more yellow light through there. That's a weeny, just could do with a little bit more yellow light through there. But in the meantime, I'll leave that. Oh, there's a roof there, and that roof is light, but not as light as the side. So I've just added a little bit of grey that's on the palette, because I've got different messy colours on the palette. In fact, I've got a spider walking over it now. Funny, these things, aren't they? Things are always around. I think we'll just get a bit more light on these boats. Oh, did you hear that fish? It's amazing, these fish. Really is. And I like fishing as well, and here I am. And there's nothing I can do about it. But then I like painting. Just as nice. So, a bit more light there, a bit more light on that. Bit more on that. Now, there's just a flick under there, just to give a bit of movement. There's one or two little things, sort of semi-light areas, I don't know what they are, that just if you look very carefully, you can see them. It just gives an edge to that, just helps. And this brush is what we call a rigger, but I'll be telling you more about that during the series. And it is a thin one, and it means that I can get a nice thin line You stop breathing when you do that. If you breathe, you're going to shake like that. It will shake all your hands. So when you're doing a straight line or something that you want to keep absolutely still, don't breathe and you'll be able to manage. And don't think about anything else. Just think about the line that you're doing. Got another one down here. Isn't it lovely when I don't talk? Anyway, here we go. Let's carry on. There. One on this one. Over there. Now, they've all got rigging on. That one has got that bit along there. Again, I'm not sure what to call it. There's a little bit sticking off up there. And now, it's amazing how this rigging is in light colour. Just let it hit and miss as it comes down. In fact, hit and miss, you've got to do it so sort of gently that in some cases it won't hit the paper. But that doesn't matter because you'll just go back and do it again. It's better than getting it too heavy. There we are, that's all we need, just this gentle little touch. Now, a few highlights on the yacht. Now, that's where the sun is just catching the top of this blue, whatever it is, round the side. I think we could have a bit of light. There's a little patch of light just up there. Oh, and I know what there is. There's these sails, which are blue, just over there like that. Might be a little bit bright, but I don't know. No, I don't know. It doesn't worry me. Could do with a little bit of dark on the mast, just down, further down. I'll show you where, just a little bit. It's what we're doing now. It's all the little bits that sort of make the painting and pull it all together. Let's have a little bit of dark down there. That's it. Just a little bit. There's another line that goes through there. And all these little bits do help to pull it all together and give it life. Yes, there's a little bit of light on there. Now, I've no idea really what all these little bits are because it's impossible to tell. There was a yacht mast that went through in the background there. So all I can do is to just see them and just put them in. I don't know that I want that line there. I'm going to take that away in a little while. But in the meantime, I just want to put a few little bits of light on all these boats. That's the boat with the cover on it. A bit more on that one. The brush is just starting to dance around a bit. I'm going back to there in a minute, but I just want these little bits. We've got some lovely light that is on that one. And never mind about the fact that the scene changes, because the scene does change in front of you. Remember, the tide has come in since I've been doing this. And if you can't catch the tide right, then there's nothing you can do about it. You can't change the tide. So what you've got to do, you've just got to accept this and work within it. There are things that you have to remember, but this comes down to practice and experience. But you have got to remember to do certain things when you know that the scene is going to change. For instance, I put shadows in to make sure I'd got them in and didn't miss them. And you do all these little things that will help you to actually do your painting when the scene changes. What I'm doing now, I'm just putting one or two little flicks of light that happen on the beach or on the mud. Don't overdo it in the distance, but it is nice to get them. Now that's lovely there, that little bit of light. I want to catch that and keep it. I don't know whether it's mud, I don't know whether it's water, but that light that goes up to there and comes this side of the yacht. And you see what it does? It just positions that yacht and gets it settled down. It looks a bit equal, but the light was there when I saw it, and I liked that, so I put it on. Now, the lights that I'm putting on, or little bits of light, they're not pure white. Don't use pure white. Always add something to your white. It gives it more character, and pure white tends to look a bit harsh and cold. Now, this is greeny colour. This was for the bits of seaweed that were out there that were catching the light. Let's put a bit more around there like that. Don't be too uniform with these bits and pieces, because they're only bits of flotsam and jetsam that are around, and if they're too uniform, it looks as though they're being placed there. Oh, one thing, I have got to put the light on the side of the yacht there. Now, I'll put that on next, because that light is good, but it is tending to kill the rest of the painting. Now, if you remember, I said we had light round there, and it seemed to break, although it's rather strange, because as the light has come round, or the sun has come round, it looks totally different to this. But that's as I saw it. And obviously, oh, a little bit of dark under there where it just goes underneath. Right, now we want some little bits of dark. And these are shadows that are being cast by the little bits of raised stuff on the mud. Again, I've got to be careful, or I'll go too careful, and you don't want to be careful. They're all sort of just dotted around. Now, I'm wondering whether I think I'll put a little bit of light, a little bit of reflection from this boat down here. Again, I'm not talking while I'm doing something careful. It's all these little finishing touches that make a painting come to life, but the trouble is you can fiddle too much. And I think I've done enough fiddling. I'm happy with that. Yes, I'm happy. That's finished. I like it. There we are, all packed away in the pochard box. Easy, isn't it? It's been a lovely day. Incidentally, look at the water. The water's up now. It was out when I came. So you've got to get used to, when you're painting outside, get used to the elements, and you've got to work with the elements. But in the next 7 programs, I'll be teaching you how to do this. I'll be teaching you how to paint in oil. I'll be showing you how to use brushes, mix colours, what surfaces to use, everything we need to know to get you started painting in oil. And we'll be going to some fabulous places. The Devonshire Horse Centre, on the moors, another place like this. Oh, it'll be gorgeous. Why don't you come and join me?
Next week, Alwyn Crawshaw takes his oils to the ex-estuary and shows us how to mix colours. That's at the same time, 5 o'clock.